Welcome to the In His Grip podcast with Dr. Chuck F. Betters, produced by Mark Inc. Ministries. Let's join Dr. Betters in the sanctuary as he preaches the series, Building a Spiritual Legacy.
Life is filled with difficulty. Many people are on that journey from despair to hope, some of you. And many are on a journey that they don't want to go on, from joy to sorrow. And some of you will have to travel that journey as well. Some want to travel the journey from pain to healing, but there will be some of you who will go from healing to pain. And whichever way you're traveling on that road, the principle remains the same: the worship of God. It's like the song says, in His presence, that's where I belong. In His presence, that's where I am strong. Do you believe that this morning? In His presence, that is where you are strong. In His presence, that is where you belong. Whichever way you're traveling on that road. But if you are trusting in yourself, manipulating your environment, controlling your circumstances, recoiling from the pain so that it doesn't hurt, rather than embracing it as a friend that draws you into the presence of God, if you are trusting in yourself, you will have absolutely no inclination toward or any need for worship. And may I even suggest that if you came here today without a sense of urgency, you probably are trusting in yourself. And in essence saying, I don't need you, Lord. If you prepared yourself for this experience with casualness, and maybe even a little bit of coyness, if that's the right word. If you came here today just out of curiosity, but there's no real heartfelt need for you to be in the presence of God because you've lost your strength and you need to be filled and you need to lay bare before God. If none of that is there, then in all probability, you are trusting in yourself and saying to God, I do not need you. And so David begins the psalm, verse 1 of chapter of Psalm 84. He says, and by the way, these superscriptions are important. They give us a little feel or a sense for what's going on here, and in particular this one, as you'll see in a moment. It says, for the director of music, which means that the psalm was intended to be sung in worship. He wanted you not only to read this psalm, but sing it so that it became a part of you, to chant it, to let it become your spiritual mantra so that you'll not lose sight of its principles. According to Gittith, we'll talk about that in a moment, of the sons of Korah, and we'll talk about that in a moment, a psalm. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord Almighty. This psalm is called, by the way, the Pearl of the Psalms. And it is addressed to the director of music, and you'll note there, the director of music, the musicians that were handling the worship in the body were the sons of Korah. You say, so what? Well, Numbers chapter 16 gives us a little picture of the sons of Korah. You might want to follow along with me in verse 1, because sometime before this psalm was written, we see our first indication of who these sons of Korah are. These are their offspring. These are their children generations removed. David is speaking of. They are now the worship leaders in the body. They are the sons of Korah, the genealogy, the offspring of the people we're going to read about in Numbers 16. Korah, son of Ishar, and Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, etc., became insolent and rose up against Moses. The greatest saint in the Old Testament, the type of Jesus Christ, is Moses. And this tribe of Korah became insolent and rose up against Moses. With them were 250 Israelite men, well-known community leaders who had been appointed members of the council. Give people a little authority and watch what happens. They came as a group. They came as a group to oppose Moses and Aaron. Have you ever had a group come to you to oppose you? I have. Have you ever had people sign a petition against you? I have. Have you ever had groups of people walk into your presence and accuse you and serve in some sort of insolent manner against you and call it their Christian duty? I have. I have seen incredible pain and experienced incredible pain at the hands of those who became insolent. I can only imagine what Moses must have felt, because I have tasted it. Have you? They said to him, "You have gone too far." Imagine that. The type of Jesus Christ. You have gone too far. The whole community is holy. Every one of them. And the Lord is with them. We not only have this petition and this charge against you, Moses, but everybody that signed it is holy. Everybody who agrees with us is holy. You, Moses, are insolent. Every one of them. Why then do you set yourself above the Lord's assembly? You know, Moses is a type of Christ, and he held a rightful place above the assembly. God had placed him above the assembly as a type of Christ. The one who reigns supreme in his church is the Lord Jesus Christ. He holds a rightful place above us, which means that we have a rightful place beneath him. It's when we believe we are above him and that he has gone too far in dishing out the pain we are experiencing that we become insolent. You've gone too far, Moses. Now, what was Moses' response? You know what? I have this rod in my hands. It's worked some marvelous things. I watched that rod bring frogs galore. I watched that rod bring fire down from heaven. I watched that rod divide the Red Sea. I'm going to use this rod to destroy you men. Did he say that? You know what his response was to this opposition? Look at the next verse. He fell down on his face. He fell down on his face. And he said to Korah and all his followers, in the morning, the Lord will show who belongs to him and who indeed is holy. And he will have that person come near him. And the man he chooses, he will cause to come near him. You, Korah, and all your followers are to do this. Take censers and tomorrow put fire and incense in them before the Lord. The man the Lord chooses will be the one who is holy. You, Levites, have gone too far. So the battle lines are drawn. Moses, in essence, says, you come and bring your worship. I will come and bring my worship. And then we'll see who's holy, who has been set apart, and who has gone too far. Now, when you drop down in that Numbers passage, chapter 16 to verse 23, it says, then the Lord said to Moses, say to the assembly, move away from the tents of Korah. Move away from the tents of Dathan and Abiram, his cohorts. Moses got up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. He warned the assembly, move back from the tents of these wicked men. Do not touch anything belonging to them, or you will be swept away because of the evil of their sins. So they moved away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Dathan and Abiram had come out and were standing with their wives, their children, and their little ones at the entrance to their tents. Then Moses said, this is how you will know that the Lord has sent me to do all these things and that it was not my idea. I'm relieving myself of all responsibility. Whatever happens next is God's doing. But this is how you'll know. He said, if these men die a natural death and experience only what happens usually to men, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord brings about something totally new, I could preach a whole sermon on just those words. And the earth opens its mouth and swallows them with everything that belongs to them, and they go down alive into hell, then you will know that these men have treated the Lord with contempt. If they die a natural death, then the Lord is not with me. If the Lord does a totally new thing and opens up hell itself and sucks them in, then you will know that these are indeed wicked men and that they have treated the Lord with contempt. As soon as he finished saying all this, teach your children this. I know it's scary, but if they're going to understand the sinfulness of sin, they need to understand what comes next. The ground under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them. You ever hear the expression, you can't take it with you? Not true. Not true. Look at what he says next. With their households and all Korah's men and all their possessions, doomed to destruction. They went down, what's that next word? Alive. Into the grave with everything they owned. The earth closed over them, and they perished and were gone from the community. At their cries. Can you imagine what that must have been like? At their cries, as hell itself is swallowing them up, the Israelites fled. I'll bet they did. And they were shouting, the earth is going to swallow us also. Now, they had already aligned themselves with Moses. They were not aligned with Korah. And yet when they saw the sinfulness of sin, alienation and separation from God and what it looks like, the awfulness of that condition was more than these men could handle. They did not approach worship with the kind of casualness we do. They ran away. They fled because they sensed that the same lot that was given to Korah deservedly could be given to them. The Lord, or the earth, is going to swallow us too. Now, you got the leaders of worship of Korah. Remember, they have their censers. God told them, get your worship leaders out there. It says, and fire came from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were offering the incense. The awfulness and the sinfulness of people who believed that Moses had gone too far. The type of Christ who were going to dictate the terms, just as we do when we say to the God we serve, why have you made me thus? Failing to see that he who makes out of the same lump of dirt a vessel for honor and a vessel for dishonor has the prerogative of directing even the most difficult of pain into your heart so that you might be drawn closer to him and see his glorious riches. You say, why are you telling this story about the sons of Korah? Because when Psalm 84 opens, the sons of Korah are leading worship. You say, so what? One word. You know what that word is? Grace. Here is, if there ever was a picture of God's marvelous grace, it is in the fact that now, as David opens Psalm 84, the very offspring of these rebellious men are in the heart of the temple, leading the people of God in worship. It was to them he directed Psalm 84. Talk about grace.
Thank you for listening. For the complete sermon, please visit markinc.org and click In His Grip. Join Dr. Chuck F. Betters in the sanctuary from Monday to Friday on the In His Grip podcast.